The inequalities in education are on the rise. Even if children have the same school marks, the final level of educational attainment, such as reaching university, is dependent on socioeconomic and migration background. Inequalities in education and on the labor market vary between countries and across time.
Projesinde de Türk ailelerle çalışma fırsatımız oldu. Türk ailelerin sesinin duyulması önemli çünkü çocukları için yüksek hayalleri var, eğitimlerine çok önem veriyorlar. Bu çalışmayla birlikte onların sesini de duyurmuş olduğumuza inanıyoruz.
Very important for us is also this narrative and contributing to the public discourse with this narrative that actually people are living quite good together in the neighborhoods, the diverse neighborhoods. There is interethnic interaction, there is low perceived level of discrimination at the neighborhood level. And this contrasts sharply with the public discourse discrimination. So public discourse discrimination, the nasty discourse about migration, is really something that bothers parents and that hampers their well-being and also indirectly influences how much they can and will invest in their children's education.
Já bych byla strašně ráda, kdyby prostě ta společnost dospěla do takové fáze, že si bude uvědomovat, že ten problém není jenom u toho jednotlivce nebo u té skupiny konkrétní. Že to je jako celospolečenský problém, který vytváříme všichni a taky všichni se musíme podílet na tom, aby se to zlepšilo. Se mně líbí strašně tento projekt, že vůbec jako se o tom takhle mluví a že se vůbec jako ptají těch lidí na to, jak to cítí. A myslím si, že jedině touto cestou musí se o tom hovořit a zkoušet prostě.
Children we have found are a major driver of change. I think this was one of the most surprising findings. So the children, they want to become more inclusive in the classroom. They want to use technologies. They drive actually the change that we observed in curriculum and towards a more intercultural curriculum in several classrooms that we studied.
One thing that really came out of all of those parts of work that we did was the importance of trust, the importance of parent trust in practitioners and in interventions for their engagement with interventions.
Cette coéducation, ça regroupe, on va dire, la coopération, ça passe par l'écoute, ça passe par le respect mutuel. Avant de parler de coéducation, je pense que d'abord il faut créer les ouvertures, créer ce climat de confiance.
Belongingness is really about feeling connected to school, feeling valued by peers and staff. It's about feeling school as a caring community. And in order to do that with minorities and with migrant students, it's really important that we value their heritage languages, their heritage culture, that we make them visible.
In general, we noticed that the majority of programs focused on enhancing professionals' knowledge and skills, especially when these were very universal programs, so not targeted at specific groups of children or groups of families. And we also noticed that the interventions that were focused specifically on disadvantaged families more often included a focus on attitudes as well. And I really believe that it's important to look at it all together, so knowledge, skills and attitudes.
And one of the best ways to provide services for disadvantaged groups is through interagency collaboration. So if health services, education services, social services and employment services all coordinate their activities with families who are suffering disadvantage, those parents will cooperate more with the services because they are not overwhelmed by lots of different form filling and having to liaise with lots of different people.
Więc to, czego dowiedzieliśmy się ze studium przypadku zorganizowanego na terenie miasta stołecznego Warszawy, to fakt, że lokalne rozwiązania, regulacje prawne mogą skutecznie wspierać nawiązywanie współpracy między lokalnymi organizacjami i w ten sposób, w sposób bardziej holistyczny wspierać dzieci z najbardziej potrzebujących obszarów tego miasta, ale też skutecznie wspierać profesjonalistów w ramach szkół i innych formalnych jednostek, którzy z nimi pracują na co dzień.
Přínosné to bylo pro nás tím, že jsme mohli konkrétně i nahlídnout do těch praktických věcí, jak s těmi dětmi pracovat jinak než třeba bezprostředně, ale prostřednictvím vlastně té aplikace VLE. To znamená různými aplikacemi ty děti vzdělávat i ty jejich rodiče.